I only got to work with Bray twice. One time I was in a fun house doing some puppeting for him, which was
you got to run a puppet.
I got to be Mercy the Buzzard, and I was right there when he was breaking a brick, and I'm like, wow, this will be such the craziest workers' comp claim of all time.
He's a former WWE writer, a former Tonight Show writer, and has an insane take on sports as we knew it, but maybe in a completely different timeline. We're going to get into it. Jon Rineman, you've done something crazy that's going to ruffle some feathers here.
I don't know. Well, people are saying that, but I don't think so. The one that takes a hit is Michael Jordan. Can he take a joke? I mean, I did an interview in Boston the other day, and they were like, in this book, you really screwed Michael Jordan. I was like, why do you guys care? You guys would love it. I remember how you treated him, and, it's like, I think he can take it. I think, if he's sad, go and wipe your eyes with some $1 million bills. That's
all right. So the book is The Garden's Always Greener. Yeah. It is just the soft pitch is imagine the 1986 draft doesn't go the way it's supposed to. And the NBA in the last 30, 40 years is completely different. The dynasty of the Bulls is different. The dynasty of the Boston Celtics is different. Yeah. It is a cross intersection between a different timeline movie, Forrest Gump and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yep. And of course plays on pop culture, the 80s and 90s, but completely reimagined. Brings in Vince McMahon, Bill Clinton, Tupac Shakur, and of course OJ. Everyone's in there.
Yeah, Vince and OJ almost hooked up. They almost worked together that time back in '96. What this was back in the lockdown days of COVID. The day before, I just had this feeling. I could tell by the way they were talking on the news. I was like, I think they're going to shut the world down. Like I just had this weird feeling, and I was one of the people that helped GameStop get their stock so high. I called them up. I called up a friend. I said, hey, you got any of those PS5s? And they had 2 left, and no one was going out to pick them up because it was too much to travel. They were from Massachusetts, I guess, and I was in New Hampshire at the time, and so they couldn't cross the border or whatever, and so they gave them up. And I got one of the last 2, and then I realized you could download old rosters, and you could download old seasons and stuff. And they have a feature now where you can do that. You can actually go back.
Is this the one of the NBA 2K game, right?
Yeah, it's NBA 2K. Yeah. I got the basketball game. I should mention. Important mention.
Context always matters, pal. Context.
Sorry, Eric. I got the NBA 2K game, and they now have a feature where you can do that. You can type, but this was back before that, and you could customize the league. You could make it whatever year you wanted. And I said, oh my gosh. What if I went back to 86? Because 86 was the year the Celtics drafted a guy named Len Bias. And Len partook in some drugs the night or 2 after he was drafted, and we lost him. He died 2 days after he was drafted, number 2 overall. And a lot of people thought he was going to be like Michael Jordan's rival. And so I said, well, I'm going to be inside for a while. Why don't we play a little bit of this, sim most of it, and let's just see what happens. And I did it. And it had some video games too. It had some funny outcomes. It had some that were eerily similar or polar opposite to real life, where I was like, oh my gosh, that almost. I was afraid of AI before everyone else was afraid of AI. I was like, this is a little strange. And when it was all done, I was like, I kept the records and everything. And I was like, what am I going to do with this? And I used it as a writing prompt. I'd always wanted to write a Celtics book. I'd always wanted it to be funny. No, the Celtics don't win every year. Nobody does. But there's an interesting art for everybody. And then I said, well, what if we made this a complete redo of the late 80s through the 90s, like millennials, Kev, me and you, we grew up. The 90s were a dark, weird time. There was all these things. Our number one show is the OJ trial.
Yes.
And I was like, well, what if we did a bizarro Forrest Gump, where it's this different change in basketball makes everything better and a little bit funnier. And so there's a player based on Len Bias, and he kind of inadvertently does just that. But it's more about the caricatures of, like you mentioned, Michael Jordan and Bill Walton, who we sadly just lost, but he has a big part of the story. Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Shaq, Rick Pitino, all these bigger than life characters, and what would happen if some of them lost more than we know that they would have. What if some of them won? What if Rick Pitino was like an amazing coach, and what would he have let that do to his psyche? And so the reason it's out in June is it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month. I lost my dad to Alzheimer's. They say that reading can drastically stave off Alzheimer's by like 5 to 10 years, and guys just aren't reading. And so that's what this book is. It's meant to take us back to the days of our youth when you had a Douglas Adams or an Alvin Schwartz or an R.L. Stein or someone like that just made you want to keep turning the page and laughing and having a good time. So it takes you back this summer. Read it you guys read it by the lake. We'll read it by the ocean, and just put on some Spotify, put on some good 90s music, listen to the Hootie, and let basketball cure all your ills, as Bill Walton would say. And I should mention, there is a WWE thread in the book as well. Maybe
I'm intrigued, dude. I'm pumped to read this.
Montreal goes a little bit different. So,
right.
And as you know, that would have changed a lot of things. Yeah.
Now, as a Chicago Bulls fan here, for the Q101 side of things, we were spoiled. The Bulls were the be-all, end-all sports franchise. Probably definitely the greatest.
Yeah.
And they're the greatest franchise in the history of Chicago sports, without bar none. There's nothing close to them at this point.
Well, don't say that to Bears fans. For some reason, Bears fans think that one Super Bowl. Boy, I tell you, the 85 Bears and the 08 Celtics, they should just get together, man. Talk about the dynasties they had. Yeah, kind of. No, I will say that the Bulls get their flowers. It's just I can't tell you whether or not Michael Jordan does.
Okay, I like the twist. You don't give it away. Give it away.
The Bulls do okay. The Bulls will be fine, but we'll see what happens with Michael. He isn't interested.
Okay, I love what you're just.
Michael not winning in 91 might have led to a very crazy Michael. So we'll see.
Yes, and you take the characters and you go even farther, and we kind of know. Is it hard when you're taking this and the line is already established? Like, all right, how much can I change it? How much can I leave it the same? Where can I take these characters and run with them? Because they're kind of like archetypes that people already know in your mind. Right. If you bring them up, people are going to remember them, but then how do you reinterpret them?
Well, I think it was just like in Jordan's case, like Neil Brennan does a great bit. Neil Brennan spent some time growing up outside Chicago, so you guys got all the great comedy people. And Neil talks in his latest special about, I think we all got out of it, was a good thing Michael Jordan won, because, man, interesting guy, interesting mindset. And thank God there was no social media back then after some of those games, at least for him to read. And Bill Lambier would have been the biggest troll in the world. Yeah, it was like, okay, we know this guy's ultra competitive. I remember him when he was with the Wizards and they couldn't win, and he just started going Clark Griswold on everybody and like losing his mind a little bit. And so that's kind of the direction I went with him. Rick Pitino, we were stuck with him in Boston for 4 years, and I almost feel like the only thing worse than him losing would be him winning. Like if he won, he would just go insane and just be like, I don't want to get all political on people, but there's certain types of people that I'm sure Pitino would have said, I can do anything. And, and so that's what it was. And Dennis Rodman, he has a big arc too. And like I said, Walton. And it was just, I was like, these are all great characters. And in like McKay's show, Winning Time, which I loved, so many people were upset with that because they said, it's not true. It didn't happen that way. And then, even with the real documentaries, there was, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, they're like on tour now with Luke Longley. Like, it's like the Bulls reality tour or whatever. And they're like refuting the things Michael Jordan said. And, so I said, what if there was a story where none of it happened? It's just I'm just going into it saying this is made up. And so, yeah, there's a real simulation. It's not like I altered things and said, I want this team to win this year, or I want this coach to get hired.
You let the game play it, and then you write around that.
I played as the Celtics, and, when it was the Red Auerbach years, I did things the way Red would have done them, which is you hold on to everybody so they try to retire a Celtic, and then when it's, Danny Ainge comes along, it's, I don't care who you are, I'm going to fight whatever trade I can make. And then I kind of let the game do its thing. And when thank God, it gave me a really fun story, a really fun prompt But what I did was I said, how would this guy have reacted to that? How would this coach have reacted to this? Okay, what was going on at that time in history? 94, like OJ, he said, is there a way we can stop OJ? Is there a way? And it just so happened.
This is the comedy prompt of if you had a time machine, you go back and get Hitler, right? Yours like, let's go back and get the Celtics into the ring with you.
Well, that's also just nice things too. And then in '94, it just so happened there was a finals happening in LA, and I was like, ooh, there's a little bit of opportunity there to do something. So wherever I could, it was just like, let's go back, let's rewrite it. Let's try to make it funny and, have it be a thing and that's why, I actually talked to Dr. Lenise Bias, who's Len's mom, and we emailed back and forth, and I promised not to use, that's why I said, hey, I don't think I'm going to use the name Len Bias because OJ's in it now.
Yeah.
And she was appreciative, but that was sort of the choice I made, which was, I tried to make it dramatic. I tried to make it like the next American novel. And I was like, this is just funny. This is just silly. So let's just embrace it. Let's just make sure everyone involved is tastefully handled. And the character based on Bias is very much like Bias and has a good arc and has a good tasteful arc and a very touching, sweet story. But it'll just make you remember a whole bunch of fun things from your childhood and, add some levity, add some light. And from now through September, I'm going to be donating a portion of my profits to the Alzheimer's Association because this is Alzheimer's Awareness Month and September 21st is World Alzheimer's Day. So it's a cause that's near and dear to me, and the book is all about memories. And so read it, have some fun, stretch your brain, create some new memories.
That's wonderful, man. And where can people get the book if they want to find it online?
Go to Amazon, look up the Garden's Always Greener, and you can get it right there on Amazon. We'll have a website up soon, gardensgreenerbook.com. And then but yeah, go to Amazon. So that's where you get everything, but it'll probably be out in stores and places pretty soon. So but that's Amazon,
awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Now you had time, as we jump into the other boardroom, the other project that people know you for, you had time at the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and time at WWE, and there's been some big things. And over on the Sportskeeda side of stuff, I have to ask you, what have you thought of WWE under this current regime? I've talked to you a little bit before with a previous regime that you worked under that's under some different speculation, but now WWE's in a real boom period, it feels like.
No, I'm happy for them. Look, man, when I was at WWE, it was a weird time in my life, and also it was ships in the night. It was the sort of thing where I was there and I was like, gosh, if I was here 12 years earlier, 15 years earlier, and I was really young, like in college maybe, I was like, this would be the perfect fit. But it was a little bit, it's like I call the Eiffel Tower principle, meaning that it's beautiful to look at, and then when you get inside, you got to climb the stairs, and you can't look at it anymore. You got to do the work, and you get none of the beauty. But Paul Heyman tried so hard to keep me involved and found things for me to do and taught me so much about life. Especially I was a new father at the time, and he has a couple kids, and he taught me so much there. And so I'm happy for him. It's sort of redemption for him. We all know he went away for a long time. I think about 6 or 7 years.
Long time.
And he's told me some of that, and I'll keep that here, but it wasn't easy for Paul. He really fought hard to do other things and stay busy. And I love that he had the second act. I loved his Hall of Fame induction.
Incredible.
It was incredible. I wish Paul should have his own Alexa. It should be like, there should be an Amazon Paul Heyman. And it just
ladies and gentlemen, it's 8:30 in the morning. You need to get up.
But it gives you a pep talk. Tells you you program it so that he can tell you every reason you're important. Because that's and but no, I think it's been good. I think their products improved. The reality of it is they have to operate in the shadows of what's going on now, legally and covered mentally, which is kind of crazy. The Department of Justice, I guess, is involved. So, but I'll just say that product-wise, the wrestlers who were out there, Cody, I loved WrestleMania. I loved the finish. I thought that was so much fun. Undertaker's my guy. So, it's as a fan. So, and I thought Austin, I thought that, I don't know about you. How'd you feel about that? I like that he kept his last match,
that Stone Cold wasn't a part of WrestleMania 40.
Yeah. I thought that was
coming out for a stunner here and there. I don't think is it tainting it too much.
No, I understand, but what if you miss that stunner? What if it's a weird, and then you have a GIF that goes viral? It's like, I thought that Undertaker thing was perfect. I thought, hey, hats off to The Rock for selling it. No, I thought they've been good, but they're really, in my opinion, it's risky, this Uncle Howdy thing. It could really.
That was the next thing I was going to bring up to you, because I know you had some insight on the previous version. This was Bray Wyatt. They've done a lot of kind of online LARPing, live action role playing, ARG, kind of augmented reality games, which were what brought Bray back in 2021. Now we sadly lose Bray, and that's sad in itself. Now you want to keep that mysticism going with his brother Bo and this Uncle Howdy character. They put a lot of resources into this online and are acknowledging it. They're saying it's happening, so it isn't as covert as it was before.
I think it's for the children, as Wu-Tang would say. The Wyatt Sicks and Wu-Tang Clan. Those are the two things for the kids. Because I have a 7-year-old daughter, and she loves it. She loves Uncle Howdy, and I've already said to Paul, I texted him, and I was like, please just go easy on me with Alexa, because I can't afford to lose all the little bit of money I made working for you guys, spending it on Alexa Bliss merchandise for my daughter, which is what's going to happen. I told you my theory, and maybe I got a wink from somebody else, like you may be onto something. My theory is I think Alexa's going to be the X factor here. I've said that since beginning. Back me up. I've said since before.
You said that she would be much more of a leading character than a supporting character. Before
they even showed her or any female figures, because we don't know for sure if it's her.
No.
But I said my feeling is that what if we had a female Fiend? What if, and then you took it a step further, Kev, and you said, yeah, the Fiend could be like almost like a title. It could be like something that's carried from one person to the next.
It's a demon that passes on from one generation to the next.
Yeah, it's like a Bizarro championship. And I think that's great. But let's see it first. Let's see how it goes. Because we never got to see the way it was supposed to play out when Bray was with us. I just will say that objectively, the way it was playing out on TV, and again, we didn't get to see the end, it wasn't working, I think, at the time as a viewer. I just got frustrated, and I think it didn't help that the Bloodline was such a red-hot angle that you had to
put more TV time into that.
Yeah, it was almost like, here's the Bloodline with Sami Zayn and, and Cody Rhodes and all this stuff, and it's doing great, and then you're matching up against it with this thing. It just seemed to be taking a long time to deliver. And also LA Knight, I don't know that he was the right, it was a great program, but what was the result of it? Like LA Knight just kept going and being awesome. There was no character change really there, in my opinion, that he didn't get darker, or he didn't get scarier or whatever. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but there are times where I'll be honest with you, there are times when it feels like Tony Clifton to me, where I'm like, oh boy, this is just Bob Zmuda trying to be Andy. But then there are other times where I'm like, this could be an amazing way to honor someone. And also, this is a big group of people. They were all very close. They came up together in NXT, and this could be a really fun way to have it go. So let's see what they do. But, we all learned with Veer what happens when you keep teasing someone and
don't pay it off.
Yeah, and I already feel like the Bloodline has lapped them again. I already feel like what they're doing right now is so compelling, with Paul sort of on the outs, or maybe he isn't, or we don't know. That's what I want to watch, and I'm starting to get a little like when there's an Uncle Howdy thing, and maybe space it out, maybe do one a week, maybe go a week where we don't have anything, then have them show up.
Yeah,
but you got to be careful. I love the long-term storytelling. I think Rob Fee has done some interesting things that I've enjoyed, but again, you got to remember, you're up against some really cool storylines. You're up against some really, what's going to happen with Becky Lynch as she go, and I think that there's some compelling stuff. So if you're going to move, I would move quick before another storyline pops up, and then you're fourth. You know what I'm saying? down the ranking. So we'll see. But I just can't say this enough. I only got to work with Bray twice. One time I was in a fun house doing some puppeting for him, which was,
you got to run a puppet?
I got to be Mercy the Buzzard, and I was right there when he was breaking a brick, and I'm like, wow, this will be such the craziest workers' comp claim of all time. And so that was just sort of a last minute thing, and then I got to direct a funhouse once because both people that would have done it, one was on vacation, the other one was on the other show at that time. So I was kind of just thrown into it by Bruce Pritchard, I think, as a going away present. And I just can't say enough good things about Bray. He was just like, I only worked with him twice, but he's one of those people that it stays with you. You know what I mean? Like I know you do comedy, and sometimes you'll work with someone and you'll only open up for them twice, or they'll open for you twice or whatever. But you always
feel the magic rub on you. Yeah.
Brody Stevens is a comedian that I would liken to Bray Wyatt, and that I worked with Brody on 2 festivals, so more than twice, but 2 summers.
You got it.
Yes.
You got it.
And same thing. Brody and Bray, they were the same kind. You never forget them. You're just like, wow, they made me feel so wanted, and it changes your approach to how you treat people. So when we lost Bray last summer, gosh, that was just so tough. And because I just wanted to go to a live event and text a friend or two and say, hey, I'm just here in the crowd. And I just wanted to pass along the message to Bray that, like, dude, I still remember you, and you probably don't remember me, but I learned so much just in those 2 shoots we did. Like, it's just about how to bring everyone and keep everyone involved. And also just he was the Gen Alpha. I think that's their name. They're the Alpha generation. That's my daughter, those kids. He was their Undertaker. He was going to be their guy. And such a shame. I mean, imagine if we're kids and Mark gets hurt or something and we don't get the Undertaker. It's just like, again, it's the world of what if. And so that's where we are. So to fans listening, get yourself a WWE 2K, and in that world, everyone
rewrite the last night.
Everyone lives on forever and plays Bray Wyatt, and and just like see where he can take you. There's always room for one more. Notice I'm wearing the Disney shirt. My only notable contribution, and it's stolen from Disney World.
I could ask you about that, but I would rather the Bray Wyatt fans go look that one up.
Yeah.
So there's always room for one more. What does that mean? What is that in reference to? I'm gonna let you go find the puzzle yourself, since that's what
stolen under duress with a very scary person staring me down, saying, "What's the line?"